What's up YouTube, it's Zapdos TCG here, and thanks again for tuning in for another TCG video on my channel. Today we will talk about the top 5 decks we will miss the most when the rotation finally hits in September. On the 1st of September there is a huge rotation with a bunch of sets being rotated out. If you want to learn more, there's a video about it in the description below. But for now, this is my personal top 5 decks I will miss once the rotation hits, and this is just my opinion. If your opinion is different, put it in the comment section below. Okay, without further ado, number 5 is Espeon GX Garbodor. I know we still have the Trash Launching Garbodor in the format, but when the rotation hits, the ability locking Garbodor with the Garbotoxin ability will finally leave the building. And what does that mean? A lot of decks rely on, of course, Garbotoxin. Think about Buzzwole Garbodor, Galissapod Garbodor, but most importantly, Espeon GX Garbodor. This relies so much on ability lock that this deck will pretty much fall apart. It can only rely on Trash Launch Garbodor, and that deck is definitely not that good in my opinion. The rest, like Buzzwole GX and Galissapod, can grab to other partners, like think about Lycanroc or Zoroark GX for that matter, but Espeon GX, it will die off eventually, because without ability locking, that deck is not that great. So I will miss that because there's a touching story here. I actually taught one of my close friends to play the game, and his first deck was Drampa Garbodor with a 1-1 line of Espeon. So it definitely holds a little spot in my heart here. So that's why it's on the number 5 spot. Espeon Garbodor will die off. I know we still have Espeon and Drampa in the format, but without the ability of blocking monster here, Garbotoxin, this deck will die off. Number 4 is Mega Gardevoir EX. Another close friend of mine, I think a year ago, I also taught how to play. I teach a lot of people how to play. How amazing is that? So Mega Gardevoir EX, why is it great? Nowadays, people still play it. It will rotate in September, but the thing you should know is it's a dual type. It hits for Psychic weakness and Fairy weakness because it's a dual type. And in the past, we had things like Shaman EX, Hoopa EX, and you could just go crazy with this. But this, nowadays, we have Mysterious Treasure to make it a little bit more consistent. But the thing you will know here is that it finally dies off. It came around in the Steam Siege chat, but it was very great playing with that type of deck, because you could just fill up your bench and discard all your bench and boom, deal a bunch of damage with a Pokemon that hits for 2 weaknesses at once. You one-shot Ultra Necrozmas, you one-shot Buzzwoles. It was kind of nice when this was around. So I will miss Mega Gardevoir EX because at the time, Mega Gardevoir got released. Also, Mega Mewtwo Y was kind of popular, and yeah, Gardevoir one-shotted that and stuff, so that was awesome. Also, you could rely on Mega Turbo back in the days, but that rotated out, I think, the previous rotation. But nowadays, we have to say goodbye to the main attacker of the deck, Mega Gardevoir EX. Okay, on the number 3 spot, we have Xerneas Break, and the Xerneas with Geomancy, whatever you want to play. The Geomancy one got around in the XY set, and it is finally leaving the format because it got reprinted in the Steam Siege set, but nowadays we can rely on something else here because Xerneas is finally gone. I know there's a GX that is still kind of playable, I guess, but the break was just so good. You could, with live stream, deal 20 damage for every energy attached to all of your Pokemon, and if you attach a DCE and Choice Band, the damage got up to crazy numbers. And with Max Elixir, this deck was actually great and got himself a top 8 finish. So this list was still being played because Ultra Necrozma is weak to Fairy, and this list will be missed by a lot of people. It was just so consistent using Geomancy in the first couple of turns, and then just back around with Max Elixirs. On the other hand, Fairy Garden also rotates, but it got that new trick Dianta just to work with. If one of your Xerneases got knocked out, you could grab back your DCE and maybe one of your Xerneas breaks. It was just such an awesome deck. I had a good vibe with that deck, and it finally is gone. So that is one of the decks I will miss. Next up, we're going to show some firepower. The number 2 spot is Volcanion EX variants. In the past, there was a bunch of people playing Volcanion. Why is that? Because Galissapod Zoroark was kind of a huge deal, and you hit weakness against Galissapod really easily. Just team up a bunch of times and boom, Volcanion could deal crazy damage. You deal 130 damage, but for every steam up, if you discard an energy from your hand, you deal 30 extra damage with one of your basic Pokemon, often paired with Ho-Oh GX and of course Turtonator GX, and of course the baby Volcanion, which actually accelerated energy onto the bench. So this deck will completely die off. If you want fire, go for Ho-Oh Kiawe, which is the most consistent fire deck at the moment. Also, this deck also pretty much relied on Starmie, So the Volcanion, the pure Volcanion deck will finally die out, and a lot of fire decks will miss Volcanion's EX's support to hit those extra numbers, although Choice Band could also do the trick for that. But Volcanion EX, it was just so amazing. You just get out your baby Volcanion, attach it to Choice Band or a Fighting Fury belt. Fighting Fury was kind of preferred in the late stages of Volcanion EX decks, and you just attack with that Steam Blast or whatever it was from the baby Volcanion, set up your bench, and out of nowhere you come in with Volcanion EX and one-shot everything. So that was an amazing deck, and actually I think it was first place at a bunch of regionals at the time it was released, so it got around for a couple of years, but now we finally say goodbye to Volcanion. And the number 1 spot, could you guess it? Drum ruffle. It is Greninja Break. Greninja Break, ever since its release, saw an immense amount of popularity. Not a lot of people stood up against a Break Pokemon that could snipe with its ability, get knockouts with that, and even has a stage 2 by its side with Shadow Stitching. It was just so amazing. And if that wasn't topping it off, Frogadier could use water duplicates and set up the entire bench with Frogadier, so you don't even need to rely on evolving your little Froakie. So this deck is insane. If it sets up, it wins almost anything against anything in the format, but if you break, yeah, there's also a chance of that. If you don't get your Frogadier out, or if Frogadiers are prized, this deck falls apart. So in that regard, yeah, I definitely played this at the internationals as well. Did kind of well with it, even though it had a great counter, Giratina promo, which is also rotating, by the way. But this is one of the decks that I played with a lot. I played it in the time with Silent Labs, I played it at the internationals with Starmie, getting energies back, even with Espeon EX to devolve Pokemon, splash energies. It was just such an amazing deck, but we finally have to say goodbye to Greninja. So to round it all up, my top 5 is, we're gonna miss Espeon Garbodor, we're gonna miss Mega Gardevoir EX, Xerneas Break, Volcanion variants, and of course Greninja Break. So this is my personal top 5 decks we will miss once the rotation hits. If you have some decks you will miss once the rotation takes place, definitely put them in the comment section below. Let us start a discussion. I want to know what you will miss most about all these amazing cards that leave the format. And if you have not watched the rotation video, it should be at the end of this video. You can just click on the suggested videos, boom, and you will see everything about the rotation. Anyhow, this was Zapdos TCG. Thanks again for tuning in for another video on my channel. Tomorrow is an episode, so stick around for that. And I will see you guys soon enough for more Pokemon TCG content. Subscribe so you don't ever miss out, and stay fresh. I'm out. Peace.